Alright, I just want to say I'm not really in the mood for doing anything. You know, I wanna sleep. I wanna relax. And I really can't do that because, on top of recording this, I gotta do some exercise, which isn't terrible, but, it's a little frustrating when I just wanna sleep. But I did get some hours of rest, so in those short hours of rest, I was able to watch the next episode, the newest one of Danjo no Nako. Sorry, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon too? And I don't even know what is this show anymore. Oh me, well, I do, but I'm saying that there's not much more dungeon. There's a dungeon in every episode. Wait a minute, what am I saying? Also, can I mention Hermes was also in this episode, which makes me very happy, as well as Hestia, as well as everybody, even that ugly lady from episode 6. Alright, my singing wasn't on point there, but that's because I haven't drinking water in about 2 hours, which isn't insane, but that's actually unhealthy, because I need to drink things. I need to be hydrated. Because this is gonna be is this gonna be a long review? Not really. I think this should be under 30 minutes. This seems like a pretty easy episode to tackle, or to talk about. So to give you the rundown again, for like the 80th time, like we've been doing in all these other reviews of the other episodes. So episode 1 featured okay, we gotta do this. Thank you. Let's do that. So obviously episode 1, we're gonna skip that. Sorry, if you wanted to see that, yeah, skipping. Okay, it is absurd how much gacha there are. Okay, stop it with the gacha. I know that's like one of the integral parts of the game, but just don't right now. Alright. So obviously we're gonna have to do Special Novel 7. And I also want to do Familia Rush thing. So yeah, so I just want to mention something real quick before we can, get on to the review. So last episode was called Familia Rush Melon Quest, Day 1, and my working theory is that we'd have it all finished, that we defeat the Familia Rush by the end of this week, which would be Sunday, and therefore every episode up until Sunday would have to be called, Memoria, Freese, Y2, Familia Rush, Melon Quest, Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, etc. You get it? And I would love to do that because I started it, but I'm not going to do that, and instead there's only I'm gonna do it in these episodes. I'm gonna do it next episode, this episode, of course, and then, of course, Sunday. Assuming Sunday's gonna be the finale, because that's what I said. That's what I'm theorizing about right now. And yeah, I'm trying to think, I'm not trying to think, but I just want to let y'all know that, of course, the title isn't going to say, it's going to say the special story, obviously, because we're talking about the review and all that. It's not going to say Melon Quest Day 2. It's only going to be Familia Rush Melon Quest Day 1 and Familia Rush Melon Quest finale. Yeah. Which is weird because day 1 to day finale is weird, but these episodes do technically contain that same material. So I just thought I'd mention that for no apparent reason at all. Alright, yeah, but like I was saying, let's lower the damn volume. Okay, let's get our OP team over here. So, quick review, quick recap of the first 6 episodes. First episode, it was fun. Second episode was dark. Third episode was... I'm trying to remember what third episode was. Oh yeah, third episode was a shocker with twists. The fourth episode was a shocker and many twists. Oh well, yeah. And then fifth episode was slice of life. Sixth episode was getting into the new arc. Was starting off the Ishtar Familia arc / the Haruhime arc / I feel like this whole show is just... I feel like all of Arario, not the show, I feel like Arario is just gonna burst up in flames by the end of the season. Type arc. And that leads us to this episode. Episode 7, Renard Foxperson. Which is really good. It definitely picks up... It definitely, I mean, it obviously picks up where we left off, like, nah, duh. But it definitely does a good job of continuing the arc. Because basically everyone we saw at the beginning of the arc, we saw... Like, what I'm saying is that everyone we saw last episode, we see this episode. And if we don't see them this episode, they're mentioned this episode. So, I like that. And in terms of what I'd call this episode, like, whether it's slice of lifey or dark or this one, I think this one's a bit mysterious. I think... I'm not sure what I said about the last one. Did I say that the last one... Oh, yeah, was getting into the Ishtar Familia arc. Last one was a little bit spicy, no? It was a little bit spicy. And then this episode, like I said, this episode was a very... Okay, I'm gonna lower this, because y'all probably can't even hear me. This episode was very mysterious, but in a good way. And it was very progressive in a good way. And it was very cliffhangery in a mysterious way. So this whole episode is just like super ambiguous to what's to come. Slightly ambiguous. Slightly. You get it. So what happens in this episode, you know, we start off with seeing Belle, Hestia, Lily, Wealth, and Makoto, and they're all in what I can only assume is one of the rooms of the giant mansion of the Hearthstone castle mansion place, and while they're there... Oh, I guess I should do the story. I know that I always do the story before the review, but I'm actually going to do the story after the review, just because I want to get these passes. So anyway, they're in one of the rooms of the of the Warmforth mansion. You get it, the mansion. The Hestia Familia mansion. And Hestia's like... It's like, Hestia's like, you went into the pleasure district and didn't come back until morning. And, of course, Hestia is mad about that. And they have a little bicker. Well, yeah, a little bicker, a little fight and all that. I know that bicker and fight sort of mean the same thing. But You get what I mean? And eventually, you know, Belle's like, oh, I'm sorry, and this, and that, and that, and that. And then Makoto's like, oh, yeah, it's my fault, don't blame him. And then Hestia is like, you know what? It's like, I forgot what Hestia said, oh my god. I just finished watching this episode. Hestia said, oh, well, to pay for what you've done, you're gonna have to help our neighbors. Like you're gonna have to do chores basically. Just help the neighbors with whatever, you know, sweeping and all that. I thought that was funny. And so then it of course cuts to Belle sweeping, and he sees some kids playing while he's sweeping in the back streets. And, you know, it's like one of the kids is supposed to be a hero, another one's supposed to be like a villain or a monster, and then there's a girl there that the hero has to save, and he's like, and he laughs at that, and then he remembers, like, he doesn't laugh, he just chuckles at that and smiles, and then he remembers what Haruhime told him, like, oh yeah, no hero would ever want me, you know, like, to a hero, I'm a symbol of destruction. And then he's just like, And then right there is when intro rolls in. Great intro. I do have to say though, I didn't have the best. I wish, because I'm in a good mood. I mean, I said at the beginning of this episode that I'm not in a good mood. I am in a good mood, but I'm not. I'm like in a middle mood right now. I have no clue why. I mean, of course, because I'm tired, but I'm just not in a good mood genuinely. Generally, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there because I gotta record. Because I want to record. I was almost thinking, and I know I'm getting a little off topic here, I was almost thinking that I was gonna move the review to tomorrow. To either tomorrow or Sunday, but then I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna get over with this because I really do want to review this episode because it was, again, mysterious. Anyway, continuing. So then the intro plays, and then it, you know, ends, and then, you know, we cut back to Belle, still sweeping, but he's in a more populated area now, like he's no longer in the back streets, you know, just came out of the back streets, and now, of course, now he's in a populated area, and, then Lily, Welf, and Makoto all come up to him and say, we'll help you out, and then he's like, oh, you guys, and, he's like, that's alright, it's like, you don't have to help out. And they're like, no, it was sort of our fault too, so let us help you. And then, you know, Lily's like, but I really gotta wonder, why did you stay in the pleasure district all night? Or Belle said, I forget who said what first, but at some point Lily said that, and Belle also said, Makoto, why were you in the pleasure district? Why did you go to the pleasure district in the first place? She was like, I was trying to find my friend. Of course, you know the story. And he's like, oh. He thinks about it for a second, and it's like, oh, Haruhime? He's like, she's like, boy, how the hell do you know my... And then that sort of sparks this conversation between the four of them of, you know, Belle says, like, man, we should help her out, like, we should save her. And then Lily's like, are you crazy? Like, because they just finished up with the war game. They just finished a whole war with Apollo Familia. They don't want to go into another war with the Ishtar Familia. And Lily's like, it's not a good idea, you know? It would be too much of a burden on Hestia, and us. And so Belle's like, aw, man. And, Welf also agrees, and Makoto ends up agreeing, and so he's like, well, it seems like no one else has the guts to start the Haruhime arc. And so, or to continue the Haruhime arc, or at least that's how I see it. And so, so then he goes, I think, yeah. So then I think he goes. It's either the next scene or after. I'm gonna say two things that happened. I'm not sure which came first. Either the chicken or the egg. I'm pretty sure it was Hermes who dashed into the hostess of fertility and said, Mia, I need you to tell me, is Belle alright? Or I need you to keep Belle safe or something. Or I need you to tell Freya something. And Mia's like, what is it now? And Hermes is like, Belle is in trouble. And then she's like, what happened? Like, oh, why can't you just tell her? Why can't you just tell her yourself? And he's like, I can't do that. You don't get it. And as Mia and Hermes are talking, Seer passes by, and Seer's like, what do you mean Belle's in trouble? Like, she becomes that Seer, who just becomes more terrifying than Otaro, which is terrifying. And she's like, why is Belle in trouble? What did you do? And he's like, I didn't do any. And then Seer's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And then Hermes just gets like super scared, and he's like, Seer, you're a hostess. You're not supposed to scare a god. I'm just like, are you sure about that, Hermes? So I thought that was funny. I thought that was great. And then I forgot how that scene ended, but it's really important that, we sort of know as an audience from Hermes, even though that was a funny scene, that Belle's in trouble. I mean, obviously. I mean, in some way, Belle is always in trouble in this goddamn series, alright? Whether it's in an event here, whether it's in the show, or whether it's just in literal weather. And I know that was a bad joke. But continuing on from that, we cut to Belle heading to the guild, where Aina is, obviously. And Belle's like, hey, Aina, and then Aina's like, hey, Belle. And Aina's like, looks like you have something on your mind. And he's like, yeah. It's like, I need to tell you something. And so then they go into, one of the meeting rooms, whatever places, and and Aina figuring out, of course, hearing from Belle that he went into the pleasure district and didn't come out until morning, which I just think is a great way toward last episode, like the entirety of last episode. I think that is a spectacular way, if I didn't already mention it, spectacular, beautiful way to swiftly summarize last episode. Belle went into the pleasure district and didn't come out until morning. That is the single greatest description of whatever Belle does in the world ever. And before we continue, let me just have some water, real quick. Surprised. What's my ranking, dude? Oh, that's a lot of points. Man. We're almost close to defeating these kiddos. Maybe I'll even be able to finish this tomorrow. Who knows? I actually think I'm going to be able to defeat these guys tomorrow. Which is insane. Jesus, crimey. Today we dealt the wait. Okay, yeah, we've dealt some pretty decent damage. That's good. Alright, well, I suppose hold on, before we get back to the review, oh, by the way, 20-minute mark, I don't even know if I mentioned the 10-minute mark, which if I didn't, I am sorry. How do we have 1,000? Okay, that's certainly something. I did not know we had over 1,000 Elixir books. Oh, and also, okay, didn't even notice I had all. Well, okay, I thought the Valis for. I keep on forgetting that the Valis isn't Valis, or I keep on forgetting that Iris is not Valis. That just blown my mind. Oh, that's right, because I get things. Oh my, wait. Oh, that's right. Oh my. That's right. I get stuff for doing this. What the heck? Can I complete this secret mission? Can somebody tell me how to do that? All right. Anyway, getting back to more important things, which I have no idea what to do right now in this game, so I'm just gonna have to end up crafting quests? Sure. Oh yeah, so Belle asks Aina, well, Aina reacts to Belle saying, oh, like, you went into the pleasure district and didn't come out until morning? She's like, but Belle, you can't do that! Just like, great. And she's like, you want to learn about, and he's like, I want to learn about Ishtar Familia. And she's like, you want to learn about Ishtar Familia? Alright. So she freaking pops open this huge book. Not huge, but huge. Book about the Ishtar Familia. And says, they're a high-level familia. All the fighters in the familia are like above level 3. And then he asks, do you know, does it say anyone? I think she was reading like the records for all the people in the Ishtar Familia, because that would make more sense for what I'm about to say next. Belle then asks, is there any mention there of Aisha, which I know last episode when I was trying to review last episode, when I meant by the person that captured Belle sort of into the whole spin of things, was Aisha. It was Aes. Her name was part Aes, and then the other one was so it was Aisha. So yeah. He asks for Aisha, and Aina's like, oh, Aisha's level 3 too. And some of them, some of the other people have been ranked up 1, and, just like how it goes. And then Belle asks, is there any mention there of a Renard called Haruhime? And Aina, looks through, and she couldn't find anything. He's like, huh. That's interesting. And so, while Belle says, oh, that's interesting, Aina says, now listen here, Belle. I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, or something like that. But a few years ago, and we get a lot of backstory. We get a lot of different expositions in this episode about different characters and different backgrounds of the characters that we sort of already knew, but shows us a little bit more of what we knew but didn't know. Does that make sense? And so this is one of those things. And Aina talks about an incident that happened about like 4 or 5 years ago with the Ishtar Familia, where there was apparently someone accused the Ishtar Familia of something. I forget things, just really small details. Accused the Ishtar Familia of something, and the Ishtar familia got really pissed off about that and sued and broke down all of those familias that tried, that accused the Ishtar familia themselves. And they also wanted the guild to pay or give money or whatever. I think they actually still sued the guild. I think that's what, and apparently that's why the guild has been under such strain for a while now. So I thought that was interesting. I'm sure there's a part or two I'm missing in that background story, but for now that's all I can remember. And so then that scene ends, I'm pretty sure. And then it cuts to maybe, I hope I'm getting it right. If I'm not, again, I'm sorry. But then, actually, I'm just going to check for myself. I did this last episode. I'm going to do it this episode because I can. I mean, it's not like an impossible thing to do. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, silver ore. Alright, we're just getting a lot of things. That's really good. Hold on. Sure, let's do that real quick. Did I choose? Okay, no, I kept. Alright. So, after some thorough looking, some very, very thorough looking, after the talk with Aina and everything, it then cuts to him walking into a bookstore, is what I can presume he walked into, and he finds a book of, like a hero book, like hero tale type deal. Not Argonaut! Nope, not Argonaut! But, just a regular hero tale thing. Hero stories book. And it shows what Haruhime was saying, that, she's a symbol, is a symbol for destruction. And there's even, a scene that sort of plays in the book, that goes like that. And then, right after that, he shuts the book and then he's like, eh. And then it cuts to Makoto, or no, not to Makoto, it actually cuts to our good old friend, Haruhime, who's with Aisha, and, sort of in one of the main hubs for, in one of the main little houses in the pleasure quarter, district, city, whatever, and in that little space, little room, Aisha gives Haruhime a bag of sweets from the Far East, which I thought was really cool. And it made me like Aisha just a smidge better. Just a smidge. But then that just tore apart at the end of the episode. But we're not gonna get there yet. And I know I said this episode, I said that this episode wouldn't take too long to review. I bet it would take less than 30 minutes. We're already at 30 goddamn minutes! I mean, what do you expect? What do I expect? I swear, these reviews are so long, but it's because they're so good. There are episodes that are so good, so the longest reviews are the best. This review isn't an hour long, I'm suing myself. That made no sense. That made no sense, that was not even a joke. Cut that out. Oh wait, I don't have an editor. Alright, and I can't even edit myself. Anyway! From there, Haruhime is like, thanks Aisha for that, like, that's so cool. And then Aisha's like, I don't care, and then leaves the room. And then we see a hooded Makoto, of course Makoto wearing a hood, and she whispers through the grate that, you can look Haruhime through. She's like, Haruhime, it's me, Makoto. Do you remember me? And then Haruhime is like super surprised to see her. But she, instead of being like, oh my god, Makoto, I haven't seen you in forever. She's like, I don't know you. I don't remember you. Being all cold to her. And sort of just leaves the room like that. And Makoto just runs off. And then it cuts. And then after that, it cuts to the next day. Where Makoto tells Belle what happened with Haruhime. When she's like, oh, I confronted Haruhime. And Belle's like, what happened? And Makoto says, she said she didn't remember me and everything. She was being really cold. He's like, huh. And then, Belle has the amazingly intelligent question for more exposition to ask, what was Haruhime like when you guys were younger in the Far East? And then from here, we get a lot more exposition. Like I said, this is the only other piece of exposition in this episode or background that we basically already knew was a thing, but now that we have actual footage we can look back into, we can say that it's true. And that is, it's basically just Makoto telling the story of Hiroka Chigusa, and not Hermes, Taka and Mikazuchi in the Far East, when they were all in the Far East, and how they grew up in a shrine and all that, which, again, we sort of didn't know. Like, we knew that they were from the Far East, but we didn't know, like, the whole story. They just mentioned they were from the Far East, and then they moved over to Ario. And apparently they were really poor at first, and Haruhime actually lived in a mansion atop a hill, I think, which was not that far away from the shrine. And one day at dinner, Haruhime decided, like, as a child, obviously, Haruhime decided, like, I can't eat all of this food. Why don't we give some of this food to the shrine? Or to the gods at the shrine. And from there, that's how Makoto, Chigusa, and Oka met Haruhime. And they always thought, like, she was super cool, but she never really got out of, she really didn't get out of her house, and so I think it was just because she was being kept there and she wasn't allowed to go outside, which is kind of a life I wouldn't want to live, says the person that's in his house every single day, and enjoying it. But anyway, my point is that that they eventually wanted to help her, break Haruhime's loneliness because she didn't have anyone in said mansion to play with. And so it was just a cute little story, it was a cute little background on everything and how they all became friends, and how, Makoto, Oka, in order to save Haruhime from her loneliness, basically, was for them to take Taka Mikazuchi's blessing, level up in a sense, and become strong enough to rescue Haruhime from her loneliness, which is the mansion she lived in. Or dojo, I don't know. House, whatever you want to call it. And, from there they would be chased by the guards and all that, of the mansion. And it's just cool. It's just cute. Watch the episode for yourself, because it really is cute. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at y'all. It's just cool. It's just a really cool scene. Anyway, from that, Belle, after she talks about that, she's then like, I really want to help her now escape from where she is at the moment. And then Belle's like, let's do it. And then Makoto's like, but Lily said, and then he's like, but we have to do it. And Makoto's like, we have to. So, just as they're about to walk off, we got a sneaky little peeky over here called Heapy Little Hermes, which is it wrong that Hermes is in this season more than the last season? Is it wrong that Hermes was in Orient of the whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna call it OOA. Not OOT for those who are confused. But anyway, Hermes goes in to the. Hermes is apparently listening to them, and Belle's like, Hermes, what are you doing here? And Hermes is like, I was making sure if you were okay. And then Belle's like, okay? Something wrong with me? And then he's like, no, I just want to make sure you're okay. You okay? Okay, now that you're okay, I'll see you later. Bye. And then Belle says, Hermes, you know the layout of the sort of like the layout of the pleasure district, right? And then Hermes is like, alright. And so then it cuts to the three of them, an unfortunate crew, or an unfortunate, not team, but group. They went to a pub. I'm not sure if it was the Hostess of Fertility, but definitely a pub. And it was a very empty pub, which is good because Hermes, told Makoto and Belle about Pleasure District and all that, and especially what he delivered to Ishtar, to Goddess Ishtar in the last episode, which apparently is this thing called, that I forget the name of. Are you serious? Okay, I'm sorry if you just heard a little bit of the episode there. Trying to scroll through once again. Nope. Okay, that's the backstory. We get it. Okay, yep. What are you doing here? Alright. Okay, we get that. Alright. I forgot. Okay, hold on. We're gonna try to look. Alright. All I can tell you is that apparently what he brought, I'm sure it's in the title for the next episode, which I'll be getting to the name of in a minute. So he basically reveals it only after, like, Hermes reveals what he delivered to Ishtar in the last episode, but he only tells them what the name of it after what? After Makoto and Bella are like, so can we save this certain person from the Pleasure District? And Hermes says, well, who is it? And they said, it's Renard, a fox person, all that kind of stuff. It's Haruhime. And he's like, it's like, oh, she's a prostitute. I forget what they correctly said, but my point is that Hermes is like, oh, well, if she's that, then that's easier. Because they can be bought. And since she doesn't have any, powers as it seems, you can just buy her for like 2 to 3 million Valis. And they're like, oh my god, we can make that work. Because these people apparently are making millions now, which is, excuse me? Which, I mean, I'm not surprised, because I'm making millions of this game, Valis-wise. But it is definitely surprising, nevertheless. And they're really surprised by this. And they're really happy, too. And then right after this, of course, that's when Hermes tells them, like, oh yeah, by the way, 40-minute mark, if I didn't mention it. Hermes then says something about the item that he gave to Ishtar, goddess Ishtar. And they're like, not goddess Ishtar. And, he's like, oh, well, what does it do? What's so important about it? And just as he is about to say something, somebody walks into the pub. So then he leaves, and then they're just left without any knowledge. And then right after that, and this actually reminds me of something real quick. So before we continue on, because we're almost done with the episode, in the scene where Hermes talks with Mia about sending a message to Freya that Bella's in danger, Hermes also says Ishtar, goddess Ishtar, wants him now. And then Mia's like, what does she want with him? And then this, and then that. And so that was a thing that I forgot to mention. But anyway, continuing on, after the whole bar scene, or pub scene, or whatever scene, where things are learned, it then cuts to the woman herself, Ishtar. And Ishtar is, sitting on her beautiful throne of sorts, and has her guards lined up on, both sides, on opposite sides, and says, I need you to capture Belle, or Little Rookie. And they're like, okay. It's like, okay, we'll do that. And, they have a little conversation, especially with that one incredibly big woman, reminding me of one of those villains from Fairy Tail, early Fairy Tail, I think, or mid Fairy Tail. I don't know what kind of Fairy Tale there is at this point. Because, they say that they're on the final season, yet they're going to be doing a sequel series called the 1,100 whatever year quest that's, to my knowledge, only ever come out in Europe, where I was just a few weeks ago. So anyway, I don't know why I said ago like that loud. Anyway, they have that whole conversation, and the guards, the people who are going to capture Belle are like, so where should we capture him? And Ishtar's like, not in public, because we don't want Freya family to see it. So then they're like, well, where? And that where ends up being where we cut to next. The dungeon. Where Belle, Lily, Makoto, and Wealth are fighting themselves some monsters in the middle floors. Trying to get money to, of course, buy Haruhime. Now, lower down the line, or not lower down the line, but closer to them, sort of. All of the guards, all of the capturees or whatever are there in the dungeon waiting for Belle, so they can capture him. But something really unexpected happens. And, they're hearing, they sort of hear that Belle is coming nearby. And what ends up happening is Aisha then says, go. And says go to apparently a hooded Haruhime who uses her power, which I don't know what power she has, but she has a power, which is surprising and puts that said power upon Aisha, looking like she's glowing with that. Like she just got hit with the spectral arrow in Minecraft. And Aisha then goes off to find Belle, and when she finds him, she instantly starts to fight him. And Belle fights back, and he's like, wow, she's fast, and he's trying to dodge, and then he just eventually just gets knocked to the floor. And he's like, oh man, this sucks, why is she here, and this and that. And then, right at the last second, right at the last drift of wind, from Belle's perspective, we see Aisha holding her gigantic blade and just swipes it, directed right into Belle's face. And just as she's about to swing it right to his face, possibly just killing him, what happens instead? Not title, that's idiotic. End song. and that's just how it ends. We don't know if Belle dies or not. Obviously, this kid ain't gonna die ever. But, I mean, you never know with this show. So yeah, we're just left so did he die, or did he survive, or what's happening? And then of course, the outro plays, greatest outro. I actually haven't heard the outro as recent as I used to at the beginning of the season. Because I don't have enough space on my phone to listen to the outro anymore, because it took up a bunch of storage. Also, Paris vlogs. When are those going to get uploaded? See, I was trying to take off my glasses, like I do, for no reason at all, and they just fell on the floor. Yeah, when are those going to come out? Let's see. They're coming out August 14th, ladies and gentlemen. August 14th. That totally hasn't passed already. Alright, anyway. Like I was saying. The outro plays, it's fun, it's great. Since I am a little hungry, I go get myself a snack, and I let myself have a think about this as the outro plays. It's just great, And then I return back to my seat to see the title for the next episode, which is called I'm gonna butcher this terrible. terribly. Ephemeral dreams. Ephemeral dreams. Killing stone. Now, the killing stone is the thing I couldn't remember the name of earlier. The killing stone is apparently the... Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention something else that Goddess Ishtar said while she was trying to recruit or get her guards, or tell her guards to capture Belle. But I'll get to that in a second. Actually, no, I'll just mention that right now. She said, we need to do the, once we do the Killing Stone ritual, the night after the Killing Stone ritual, we're going to war with Hestia Familia, which I'm like, excuse. So, anyway, next episode is called Inferior Dreams, Killing Stone. Now, this is very interesting. So, Killing Stone obviously means, a stone that's gonna kill somebody. It's in the title, right? Or could it just be super... What if it just revives people? I don't know. So, my best bet is that when I hear the word Killing Stone and ritual together, and Killing Stone ritual together combined with night, and Inferior Dreams that happen possibly at night, I'm guessing, I'm just speculating here, that the next episode is gonna get really, really, really satanic. Maybe, possibly. So, that's really interesting. It's a really interesting title for the next episode. It is very, very different than all the other titles that we've gotten in the previous episodes. And I think this episode has me hyped. This next episode definitely has my hype. Like the previous, especially this next episode, it's got me hyped because I'm really surprised that Haruhime has a power that can make Aisha, or, who says it's limited to Aisha, when it could probably be anybody, for them to just be super strong enough to beat Belle, or Aragonaut, or whatever you want to call him at this point, which is a bit crazy, when at least I think about it. And so I'm really interested, and plus she has that power, and it's not documented anywhere in the Ishtar Familia's little who is here and who is there. And so it also makes a little bit more sense why Haruhime is sort of being kept by the Ishtar Familia. I think she's gonna somehow be a big role, obviously in the arc, but I think she's also gonna be a big role, or have a big role in this Killing Stone ritual. Which, again, I have no clue. It sounds satanic, in a sense, which is weird, because why would a goddess do a satanic... Yeah, that would make sense. But who knows? It was Vitox. That's it. Can't believe myself. It's Vitox. Freaking the guy from Winter Magic Miracle. That's who. Trying to remember his name last episode. I swear. It was either last episode of the 10,000 Valis special. Or Iris special. 10,000 Valis. Like 10,000 Valis deserves a special. I bet 100 million Valis deserves one, but 10,000? That's way too easy. Yeah, so I think that's really interesting that that's what the next episode is about. Other theories I sort of have for the next episode. Let's see. Well, I think without a doubt, I mean, and I know I'm quoting Hermes, but I think, in what he said this episode, and basically, seeing what's to come next episode in a sense, I think all of us can agree that Belle is in some deep trouble. And that's fun, because we always love to see Belle in trouble, 100%. That's just totally not going to destroy Rario. But in all seriousness, I have no idea how this Killing Stone ritual is going to affect anyone. It sounds maybe, because another thing I feel like when it comes to a ritual, it has something to do, besides it being satanic, maybe like, I don't know, like werewolf transformation, I don't know. I just think werewolf or wolf or like howling wolf when I think of a ritual, or like hooded figures, that kind of stuff. And so I don't know. It's really, really, it's like half-heartedly ambiguous, but also half-heartedly exposed, if that makes sense. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to have a better mood. I mean, it seems like I'm in a really good mood, and I am, because I've been recording for a whole hour, reviewing this episode. See, I told you, only the best episodes have the longest reviews. This is definitely a good episode. This was definitely a best episode. Not the best, but a best. Again, like I've been saying in these reviews, season 2 has been really good, proving to be very, very, very good, of a season, and with a really good arc, and another really good arc, which, by the way, I know that I already mentioned, there being a war between Ishtar and Freya, Familia, that is. And, I just think it's a little crazy. Like, we're really progressing with this whole Freya thing, huh? It's like, one episode we're like, hey, what's going on with Freya? It's like, oh, well, she wants this kid called Belle. Ishtar's like, alright, I'll get him. Next episode, we're gonna get him! So, yeah, that's definitely interesting. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. Tomorrow, of course, will be the live stream, where we're gonna be continuing, or hopefully finishing off Midsummer Lover's Tale. Rerun, that is. And also doing the Familia Rush, which more than likely we'll do at the beginning of the episode, just to get that out of the way. So, yeah, I think with that we're pretty good. We're pretty rad with this episode. But before we end anything off, I actually do want to try this for one last time. I don't know if I've tried it with this group before. But we're gonna see. I want to see how good. I want to see how good this group fares against this kid. Okay. Surprisingly well. They're surviving more than I thought they would. I will say that. But they don't survive long enough. They survive long, but not long enough. Alright, we're just getting one step closer. We're getting a step closer to defeating this thing. I think. Anyway, thank y'all for watching another episode of Dungeon no Koido Amashi. God damn, it's got Memoria updates to episode 400. And wait! We can't finish it! Wait, just as I said, we gotta finish this. We gotta do special novel 7! What the hell is wrong with me? Alright, sorry about that. Celebrations? Question mark? Forgot to do this. Oh, yeah, we never really heard from Aes or Tio and the whole Loki Familia. Oh. Yeah?
アルゴノート君にお祝いの品を渡したいんだ。そうだよね。私たちも鍛錬に付き合ったんだし、祝ってあげたいよね。でも何がいいのかな。冒険者だし。
I wonder if they're gonna be involved in this arc. That'd be insane.
食べ物？それが難しくて。
Hey, Loki.
どうした？あ、ロッキー。実はね。
Loki responds with.
せやな。
For that kind of occasion, what do you need?
お花ですか。ありがとうございます。
ウォーゲームおめでとう。ファミリアも大きくなってよかったね。
告白じゃなかったけど、アイズさんからプレゼント。
Yep.
こんなに嬉しいことはないぞ。
That's always great. There's always more, isn't there? There's always more.
みんな。
There's always more.
こんな綺麗な花束。
Oh, jeez.
それはスノードロップじゃないか。
Wait, what?
花言葉はお前たちの死を望む。おいベン、本当に元気が持ってきたのか？
これはロックからの事実上の宣戦布告。クリスティアファミリアの
Or says that upon learning the truth, teary-eyed Aes decided to beat her goddess as a punishment. Definitely. That deserves an applaud. Oh, that's great. That's remarkable. I love that. Alright, that was a good special novel. Alright, yeah, alright. Now that we're finished with this episode, thank y'all for watching. Another review, another episode, another step closer to our extremely long trek to 1,000 episodes. More like 500 episodes right now. After 500 episodes, it'll just be insane. I'm gonna have to rename this whole series after episode 500. Gonna call it, because it still has to be Memoria Freese Y2 until we get to Y3, but it should be called like Memoria Freese Y2. What other ridiculous thing could I add to this series? To the series name. Memoria Freese Y2. I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. We'll see. We still have a little while. Little while being like 22 episodes. Oh my god. Anyway, thank y'all for watching another episode of Dungeon Knuckle. Like I said, thank y'all for watching. I'm gonna go ahead, probably try to take a nap and then not be able to take a nap because I still have to do some exercise, still gonna do some stuffs. But it's fine because since recording this, I have a lot more energy. So, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for watching in the sense of giving me energy, if that makes any sense. And yeah. Arigatou gozaimasu. And sayonara. Goodbye and hello, Killing Stone Ritual.